Hey there, everybody. Welcome back with the Plat. Today we are talking Persona 5 with the master himself, the #1 player in the Korean version, 16-bit Bear. At least that's what he told me. Is that correct, Bear?
Oh, yeah, exactly. I'm topping all the leaderboards with my free-to-play strategies. And I wish I could say I was that good, but no, I am on the Korea server, but not quite #1.
So chances are, if you're watching me play this game, you've probably already seen his videos because he's kind of killing it right now. But just in case they don't, why am I talking to you today about Persona 5? Or the Phantom X?
Because you saw the beard and my beautiful bald head, and you just couldn't get enough of me. I mean, that's the real reason, right?
It's like my future self.
No. So yeah. So Platt and I go back to the sort of Convaleria days, and shortly after I left that game, I actually picked up Persona 5X on the KR server, and I thought I was going to play it for a couple weeks just to kind of get a vibe for it, because I'm a huge Persona fan, and I've been playing it ever since, and it's absolutely fantastic. And I've been waiting for that global announcement to drop for some time now, and obviously we're here because it did, and we're a day and a half away from the actual official launch. And so, yeah, I've just been trying to spread that knowledge around to the best of my ability and get people informed about what's coming in front of them.
Yeah, because I remember at first it was you and Showtime Doctor were kind of playing it around the same time, I believe. And then he moved on with his life and you basically doubled down is what it sounded like.
Yeah, I got hooked. I got addicted.
So the reason we brought him on today is so we could pick his brain. I have a couple questions here to ask because I have not played this game yet. I mean, I've played Persona 5, I've played lots of gachas, so I can infer some things. But as for specific things that I wanted to know, I figured why not bring on someone that could probably answer those questions, or at least, give us some advice on what to do. So are you ready, sir?
Absolutely.
All right, #1, okay? The combat of Persona 5, the Phantom X. It looks, when you're watching just like videos of it, it looks very similar to Persona in a lot of ways. In what ways is it very like similar, and in what do they change? Because I assume there has to be a mobileification of it if you're going to have 100 characters eventually, like to make things different.
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, the main formula, what you know of Persona, where you have like that weakness mechanic and the knockdown all out attack mechanics, that's all there. You've got, baton pass type situations where if you down an enemy, you can, pass your turn to somebody else and they can try to down another enemy. So those things from, P5, P5R, they're all in there. And then of course your main protagonist, has a stable of personas. But the big differences here are, one, you can only take 3 personas with you. So you're limited, you don't have like your stable of 12 to 15 like you do in a traditional Persona game. 2, with your personas, you give them your inherent powers, but it's not done through the same kind of fusion system that you're used to. It's its own kind of unique blend of that. And then I think really the biggest change or biggest difference is because you have so many different characters and they have so many different types of powers, your thought process on how you want to build a team is just really a different breed. And you kind of look at it from a who's my main DPS, which is never going to be Wonder, to be honest with you, and how do you support them? And so you may run a team, for example, with Fox, and Fox is your main DPS, and you're going to pair him with people that give him defense and shields. Or you're going to look at, our first banner guy, Joker. He's a curse damage dealer who does AoE. You're not going to take him into a lot of single target fights. And when you build his teams, you're going to think about, who amps up curse damage, and you're going to have characters that can do things like that. And so you build more specialized teams. But honestly, it's one of the things I love the best because you really get to use a wide stable of characters, whereas a lot of gacha games, it's like you pull that next power creep and they're your next person for a month and a half, and then you get the next power creep and you just repeat that cycle. I'm still using people that are from 1.0 patches, which is fantastic. I've invested and can still use them.
That's really good because I love. I mean, everyone knows I love lower rarity units. That's kind of my thing. I love being able to I like getting a lot of mileage out of units, especially once I have a personal favorite. I hate when they get power crept. I will deny it for too long. I'm like, no, they're still relevant. They're relevant. All right. You're coping, guys. But kind of 2 follow-up questions regarding the combat and Wonder. In the combat itself, I've seen these yellow shields. So there's like a knockdown armor system or something like that?
Yes, yes. So most of your basic enemies aren't going to show the shield.
Okay.
And it's just like if they're weak to ice, you hit them once, they go down. If they have the shield, it's like you have to hit them multiple times with the weakness, or there's other means sometimes like you can crit them and that'll take away a shield. There's a particular navigator that can help with this. And if they say have a number 3 on it, then you might have to do 3 ice attacks, then you can down them. So some of your things like Velvet Trials, which is one of my favorite modes, in there you build teams around, well, how can I get it where this one has 1 shield, this one has 2 shields, so I need him to come down 1, then you to come down 1, or I need to hit you and then pass my turn so that I'm kind of getting you all down at the same time. Otherwise, on the next round, you're going to get your shields back and I don't get to do my alt attack. And so there is some like fun mechanics used in that in certain places, not like all the easy stuff, but in like Velvet Trials and things. But yeah, the shield is effectively, crit them or hit them with weakness multiple times in a row.
I'm excited to see how they how that implements, because even like in Persona 5, the hardest boss in the game, like if you crit them, they go down, you get your all out attacks or whatever. So I'm kind of excited that it just adds a lot of knobs they could turn, a whole other game mechanic they could build around. As far as Wonder, right? You mentioned he's never going to be your top DPS. I assume that no matter like right away, because like you're not going to sell units if the free to play character is always your top DPS unless they monetize his personas in some way. But is he, because he has the ability to get personas, one, do they add new personas over time? And two, is he, because he can make new personas, is he always kind of meta relevant as like a support or some sort of buffer, debuffer, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, you can never not have them in your team. So no matter what, you have to have them there. So yeah. And so thankfully with his personas, he does stay not just relevant, but top tier because he's got, certain buffs you can't get anywhere else. And the thing with him is it's not that he can't be a DPS, it's just he's not as effective as your pulled units that are specialized as DPS.
Yeah.
You can still do a wonder with, what is it, Yochisune? I always say that name wrong. You know what I'm talking about, like the one that's in every Persona game for damage. So like you can do stuff like that, and one of his daggers is even made for him to be DPS. He just won't be as good. And where he really shines. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it sounds like he's a gap filler mostly. Like if you have a weak fire team, he could be like a fire DPS or a whatever DPS.
And you'll do that more in the early game too, before you have a stable, because you might go a while without a side damage dealer, and so he's the only person you're gonna have that can even do side at that point. And so you kind of go through these cycles with personas where you find a few in your stable for your given level ranges, and you kind of break them through, you level them up, and you get them built the way you want, and then you'll get a more powerful version later, and then you kind of repeat the cycle very much like a classic Persona. Like you don't typically have, say, Imp and I don't know, Succubus at level 99, right? You have switched into somebody else. But with him, what you really look to do is say, okay, with the team I'm building, what is the best persona that amps that team? And then do I augment them by inheriting skills from other personas? And that's a lot of the end game, is saying, take your Dionysus. Dionysus, everyone is basically going to bring on most teams at the end game. And he will buff crit, but then you also will put other powers onto him from other personas. So you might put like a Tarakaja on him so he can, also buff attack. You might put a couple passes on him to make your character more resilient, things of that nature. So a lot of what Wonder is really thinking more strategically about your personas and how they help your team than Wonder, as his own character, if that makes sense.
This is such a, I mean, I guess I would say ballsy decision for a gacha game to have such a flexible character that could fulfill so many different roles, even if he's not necessarily the best at most of them, but maybe he is the best in a couple. But like also like to have a character collector game and then permanently stick you with a character that is free is like, it's a very weird, it's an untraditional gacha thing to do, I'll say. But it's very positive for me. So did they release new personas over time for Wonder?
Yes, they do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like you get like one a month or something like that, but they've definitely released quite a few. And typically when they release the new ones, it's tied more to some of the end game systems. In a couple of the systems, you get like special coins. I want to say it's through not Velvet Trials, SOS. And so at the end game, you buy them from the shop with these special coins, and you basically get enough to get one every single content cycle. And this can all be adjusted, obviously, on global. They might shift the rewards around. It never feels unfair, I'll say that. And getting to like the highest tiers, even as like a free to play, don't want to invest your life into it, like you can get to those ranks super easy. It's not hard at all. But those are where typically the new ones come, and they tend to come with characters. So like when Violet came out, there was a persona, I forget its name, but it was based around bless damage and enhancing highlight damage, and her whole gimmick is critting on highlights. And so like you wanted to get this persona and build it into her team. But if you didn't care about Violet outside of getting, the skill points that you get for getting personas, you wouldn't have to care and build that particular persona. So it's not like you're forced into them, but when you build your team comp, you're like, oh, I really want to put that one on my Haru team or whatever. Right?
This sounds so fun because it's gonna be a lot of times when you're playing gachas, and you probably know this as someone that makes guides as well. But like people ask, who do you use on your team? Who do you use on this team? But it'll be kind of fun to have the question framed as, how is your wonder built? Everyone knows you have wonder,
Yes.
and everyone has the ability to have. It sounds like at least a relatively similar power level wonder. Like it's a unit everyone will have. It's going to be mostly how you could build them in different ways, I suppose. But it'll be fun. People being like, my wonder does this. My wonder specializes in that. And I'm sure maybe at the end game there will be meta stuff, of course. But in the early game, people are going to make lots of different decisions, and it's going to be really fun to watch.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you, without spoilers, have you been able to engage with the story, or is this something that is with the language barrier you're not able to engage with?
No, so the stuff that I skipped is mostly like side quests, and that's they give you good XP, but with it's a slight delay, but with the delay of the translation, for side content I didn't really care so much, and so I saved that for global. But for the main story, I went through quite a bit of it, reading through the patch, waiting for it to come out and stuff like that. Unfortunately, a couple of the cutscenes it couldn't translate fast enough, so I've missed a couple little things here and there. But I will say I am enjoying the story. What I'll give them credit for is I think a lot of people will go through the first palace and be like, that was okay. The story was okay in the first palace. But every palace since then, it's just gotten better. Palace 2 was good. Palace 3, and again, I don't want to give any spoilers. Palace 3 is 2 different parts, and that's as much as I'll give you on the details. But the difference between Palace 1, 2, and then Palace 3 Part 1 and 2 is they're just different levels of story. It's so much better. And they definitely ramped it up. And I think people need to remember that Atlus is overseeing this as well. So it's not, just PWE, was it Blackhawk Games, I think makes it?
I think that was
it's not just it's not just the two of them making these story decisions. They have Atlus and Sega in partnership, looking over characters, looking over the confidant, conversations, looking over the story in particular, looking in how it ties into the wider Persona 5 universe. And so, you guys know Atlus and quality. They're not going to be like, oh, just do whatever the hell you want. If you destroy our franchise, it's fine. Like, they're not letting that happen. So if you get through Palace 1 and you don't feel completely satisfied, I can feel you on that. But give it through Palace 2 and especially Palace 3. It's worth it. I've enjoyed it. And I think most people, especially if you're from the Persona fandom, are going to enjoy it as you get through it.
That's exciting because in Persona 5, like traditional, I would say that it's kind of felt the opposite for me, where it's like Palace 1 was so good. The whole Kamashudo, I forget exactly how to say his name, but his whole arc was like ridiculously good. It's funny because the palaces kind of increased in stakes, but I don't think they increased in like quality of storytelling. The first one was so good, so I'm kind of excited to hear almost the inverse. Like they're getting better as they go. They're learning, how to better tell their story. Probably was more comfortable with the characters and stuff in general.
And you can tell too in the production value. Like if you look at character releases at the start of the game, and then you look at the preview trailers for like the last 4 or 5, basically since Howler came out, just the quality there is night and day in my opinion. And so you can tell they've gotten more budget. You can tell that they picked up the steam that they wanted. And something I'll kind of quell because I keep seeing it in Discord. A lot of people like, oh my God, the game's going to die right away. Why didn't they do the 110 banner, doom and gloom? And I'm like, no, like this. If you read like their investor reports and everything, like this is a game they're cornerstoning to say we want this to last for years. And when you see quality in a game go up, especially in a gacha over time, it's an indication that they're investing, not that they're pulling out. So, hopefully people that see this video with us talking, come away with it like, hey, I can play this for the long term. I think it's going to be around for a while. I'm not telling you to go spend $1 million in it, but I think it's going to be here for a time to come.
I think people get the meme stuck in their head a little too much because it's like been a meme for such a long time that a Persona 5 crossover is the kiss of death for every guy. It's their last attempt to make money before the EOS. And so like, oh, a Persona 5 game. This is Atlus's kiss of death trying to. But I mean, on top of them, waiting a year to take it global, which is, that I think that's about what it normally takes. Maybe, yeah. But we know that eventually Persona 6 is coming out, and I think that this is going to be a cash cow for them up and through that, because they're going to announce Persona 6. It's going to be 6 months away or a year away, and this is going to be like, well, I'm excited, let's download Persona the Phantom X. We could see little short stories about that game.
Oh yeah, and we already know, because they've already mentioned this. Like, so we're in the start of the Persona 3 Reload collaboration on the other servers right now. So we just got Akihiko. So we've had the main character. We've gotten Yukari and now him. They've put a whole new Tartarus system into the game, which is like this crazy roguelike. He can get super difficult, and just great things there. And they've already said that they're going to be doing Persona 4 cast. Well, we all know the Persona 4 remake got leaked so much that they finally made like a pseudo announcement for it. Yep. I think one that was rushed a bit, but we're excited. And I could see them timing releasing the P4R characters with that. I mean, what better way to crossbreed than to have this other platform to promote those characters? And then Persona 6, I think we all assume will be after P4R. Maybe we'll be wrong, who knows? But they just have to introduce those characters there and whatever systems make sense to pull across. So I think their entire intent is to continue to expand this into a larger Persona universe where you have a reason for the franchises to crossover, just like you had in like Persona Q series or the fighting game franchise where you had a few games coming together. This is, I think, another iteration of that concept.
Yeah, I think this is going to be like the Persona mobile game. Like, they're not going to do a Persona 3 mobile game and Persona. Like, it's all going to be this. And the reason I think it's called Persona 5 the Phantom X and not Persona whatever is just because Persona 5 is so crazy popular, right? It's like, if you just frame it in this world, it's going to be more popular than if you just did a new Persona game, quote unquote.
Yes.
So what you've played the game for, you said 7 months. I don't know if it's been totally on, every day. I assume all your refreshes every single day for 7 months. So what's something you wish that you had known when you first started playing the game that you now know you've learned?
Yes. When I first got into it, I almost treated it more like a beta, because I knew that eventually if it came to global, I'd be switching. And I wasn't efficient. Now, I want to preface this. You don't have to be perfectly efficient in this game. You're not going to brick your account based on choices. I see that comment come around a lot.
Yeah,
you can't brick this game. I mean, you might progress slower because you didn't raise a certain character or two, but like, you're not going to brick your account. Don't worry about it. A lot of the content scales with you anyways, so it's like you can't really brick a lot of things. But the thing I didn't focus on, and I wish I'd focused on more from the start, is my confidants. And the way that they work is you get these city activity points. You get 5 a day at server refresh. And it's basically how you raise your social stats. It's how you work your part-time jobs to get cash. And it's how you will do your confidant conversations. So you basically get a random pool of about 6 to 7 of these for each time slot of the day. So, your afternoon, your evening, whatever. And certain confidants are available at certain times of day. So some are only there in the afternoon, some at night. And when you open up this menu, if you want to call it that, you'll potentially see your confidant. And I think there was a solid month I never even went into that menu, because you can do so many different dailies that you don't have to do that for your dailies. And then I didn't realize that I was leaving a ton of gems on the table. You get so many gems from these confidants. And 2, they give you a crap ton of materials. And then 3, they give you special things. Like, one of them raises your gun damage. Another one allows you to fuse certain personas. Another one gives you better part-time jobs. There's all sorts of, and actually, not to self-plug, but I actually have a video on fronts to focus on. And because I had to play this catch-up, I had to burn all these. They have different stamina system for that. And so I had to burn the extra energy pots for it, which is fine. But I could have been gaining these resources, gaining these gems, having access to these powers so much earlier. And so now when I go into it, I know that every day I'm going to clear that out. I'm going to use my 5. There's absolutely no reason to save it. It's not like when the next confidant comes out, you can rush them down. So just use them all every day, burn through them. So I think that was probably one of the things that I could have done a whole lot better. And the other one was doing the Velvet trials in line with your level. So they have, I think it's five, maybe six, like groupings of Velvet trial stages, and they're all based around like certain combinations of teams, like having an ice team, having a psi team, whatever the element is. And you can do them whenever you want, but I started really hitting them around like level 60 to 80. And so the first few stages I could one shot. The problem with that is to get the score you needed, you had to do so many like elemental hits is the best way to up your score. And so I had to like pull off my gear. It actually was harder to scale myself down to play that mode. And I just think it's going to be more fun for everybody if it's like, oh, I'm level 10. Let me see how many of these missions I can do. And again, you're getting gems and resources for doing it. So there's tons of great incentive for it. And I think it's more fun when it's at your power level, not when you're above it, if that made sense.
No, that makes perfect sense. One, yeah, because if it's like, oh, hit with ice 5 times, and you're like, well, they die in one fire hit, even though that's their resistance. What am I supposed to do here? So that makes sense. Also, little, behind the scenes, one of the specific reasons I asked this question was so that I could put your video in the description, because I believe you had a video about like, oh, don't make these beginner mistakes,
Yes.
things like that. So that was specifically. There will be a link to his full-length video down below, which will be a more complete, probably answer and cover more variety of things. But figured it would be good to bring up here because that's like a number one thing that you should just should ask. So
yeah, and the other thing I'll say too is don't chase dupes. It will be very costly to try to get 6 of the same character. Well, 7 because you have your initial pool, then you have 6 progressions you can do.
That's so much. Oh my goodness.
It is, and it's so not worth it for most characters. There's a few characters, and I'll talk about them when they come out because they're not out. But there's a few characters I could maybe make a case for one duplicate. For example, I'll give you guys this one. So An is still fire AoE damage relevant today on all servers. She is a fantastic pickup. You will later get Chinese New Year Rin. And so she is I think one of the first, if not the first, that covers the same role. So she's also AoE fire damage. She, I would say, in my opinion, is on par with An when she has no duplicates and you have a couple of duplicates in On, which you'll probably get just by playing the game, just because of the nature of the standard banner. But you give her Lion Dancer, Chinese New Year Rin, her A1, and I think she beats On. So you have stuff like that. Or there's a case we made for Futaba at her A1 is just phenomenal. I believe that's, if I remember correctly, I think that's where she gets her crit rate. I'd have to double check that. So hopefully I'm not wrong there. Or like Anj, like she's a great A1. So there's a couple where you might want to do, but 99% of them, it's just not worth pushing.
Well,
that's really why isn't. You're not competing.
That's why the per win, I think, tier list, they do it for everything they do, but it's like it's always like the 5 stars are at A0, and then the lower rarities are like A6 or whatever the max is, right? Because they'll assume you'll get those at some point. But I think that's a good idea because like the thing is, A5 or A6, whatever, isn't relevant information at a lot of times because most players can never get there if you're free to play or a light spender. And if you're a whale, you don't care about the power difference. You're going to get it anyway, right? So it's like,
get it anyway.
So yeah, that's why either I think it is very much worth deciding if one dupe is worth it because that's a real tangible investment most players can make. And if it's a big power spike, then that's a pretty big deal. If it's like a small power spike, then you're like, whatever, I'll save it for the next banner.
I almost feel bad in my guides talking about the whole A0 through 6. I do it for the completeness and for the information for people, but it's so hard for me to recommend it. And it's always this. I'm gonna sound like a broken record in my videos. It's like if it's your favorite and you really, really want it, like I'm not gonna stop you. To your point, if you're a whale, you're not listening to me anyways. You're gonna get it.
Yeah, you just want to hear someone say, "Wow, this A6 is nuts." They just want to hear someone be like, "Yeah, that's right. That's why I bought it."
Validate the purchase.
So we kind of already talked about it a little bit, but it was the last question I had written down was, are there any beginner mistakes new players should avoid? It sounds like you already mentioned the confidants. Confidants, don't ignore those. Don't chase dupes potentially. Was there anything else you wanted to highlight that new players commonly do?
Yeah, I think so, and this is common for all gacha games in my opinion, but you get this really crazy influx of materials and gems. Like your first, I would say, month in any gacha game, you just feel like there's this never-ending well of things coming your way. And I think it gives you a false sense of security. If you're a light spender, medium spender in this game, I think you don't have that much to worry about. I don't think you can go chasing all the dupes necessarily, but I don't think the pressure is really there. The game is very free to play friendly. But if you're fully free to play, which again is how I am on the KR server, then you do hit places where you get a material crunch. And so you'll feel this the most if you are trying to get every one of your characters to level 80. I don't think you should do that. Not for a while. You may be able to over time, but there's going to be a lot of characters like, oh, I would just want to play with this one, and then you get the next one. It's like, oh, let me bring them up, and then all of a sudden you don't have soul gem, and you can't level anything, or you run out of the breakthrough materials that allow you to get to the next 10 levels on your character. And so I really think you should focus first on your main team. For most of the game, you need one team. You're going to get a couple resistance blocks here and there. Start with that. Get a really good core team going. Like, if you're doing Joker and you happen to pull Rin, give yourself Joker, Rin, and a sustain. Or Joker, Rin, and another, buffer for when you don't need a sustain. Then focus on a secondary team. So again, this is going to cover when it's blocked. So for me, my secondary team is going to be On or Ryuji. If I need single target, I'm not going to be free to play. I'll be probably a low to mid spender. And so I have a little bit more resources to build these things. But that's what you should focus on. Later, when you kind of get into more of the content that calls for more teams, like we have this thing called Astro Globe that requires all sorts of different kinds of teams, that's when you want to look at your stable and say to yourself, okay, do I need an ice damage dealer? Okay, maybe I'll level Mons. Or do I need this thing over here and I'll level that thing over there? And then assess your materials when you do that. Don't just willy-nilly try to brush them up to level 80. Granted, we're probably quite a few weeks before anyone can even get to level 80, unless they fast track our EXP. It's not something you can do. You can't push it in like week 1. It's just not going to happen.
Okay, that's good to know. I mean, I already know, like, the second my favorite character, like Haru, comes out, and Yusuke. Here's the thing. I hear the name,
Yusuke,
I look at the name.
Yep.
Yeah, Fox, like, I'm going to make them max as soon as possible. Maybe not like A6, but like I'm going to level them up. I don't care if they're viable for my team.
Both of them are going full for me. Yep.
The characters in Persona 5 that I really like. And I think it's literally all of them. Yes. But you know what? I'm going to say something spicy. I don't like Makoto that much. I think she's kind of queen. I think
she's one of my favorites.
I think she's a little too, I don't know, stern, I guess.
She's too prissy for you? Yeah.
I'm just like...
Well, you'll love Haru.
I love Haru. Haru's my favorite. She's...
Oh, yeah.
I could gush about Haru. It's also my girlfriend's favorite character in the game. So we always talk about, like, oh, Haru, we love noir. This kind of actually...
She's a badass in this game, man.
She's got... I could not tell you how happy I was when I got her as a character in Persona 5, and her weapon was the giant-ass axe, and her gun was a grenade launcher. Yep. I'm like, fuck yeah,
my affinity for giant axe characters, so yeah, she's a solid. Thankfully, she is absolutely great in this game. So they did her justice.
That's so. This kind of leads into the bonus question if you have time for it. Mm-hmm. Monetization. Yeah, a nice quick one. Just monetization. Everything that's monetized. No, so I'm curious, one, what you like and don't like about the monetization. Obviously, I would probably just prefer Persona 6, but I'm sure there's some good things about the monetization. Sure. But also, kind of what is monetized. Everyone's going to know probably energy, and everyone's going to know, I don't know, like you could probably buy additional resources to level up. But is like weapons, do weapons include guns? Are the personas for the main character monetized, or are these purely free to play, or can you buy, that kind of stuff?
Yeah. So first of all free to play, all the modes, everything you want to do in the game as far as gameplay, absolutely free. So nothing is gated by, something you have to unlock in a cash shop and some variety. So you don't have to worry about it there. The things that are monetized, there's a couple of outfits that you can get.
Okay.
And these are just cosmetic things that that Wonder wears around town. You don't even see it in battle. There are, to this date, there's been a Joker costume, a Makoto from Persona 3 costume, and it's the Butler sets.
Okay.
There's been 2 costumes in battle for Wonder. So 4 in battle costumes that you can get that are monetized. And that's it as far as things that affect gameplay. It doesn't change anything about the game, but if you care, so fully cosmetic. The things in the cash shop that we don't have the official prices, but we can kind of guesstimate based on other servers. It looks like the base level battle pass. So you have like the free battle pass and you have a paid track, which is pretty standard these days.
Yeah.
It looks like the base level is roughly in the $10 neighborhood. Again, we don't know exactly. Then you have the upgraded version, which is just more cosmetic type things. That one is probably about 10 bucks ish more. I think that one might be like $25 total. So I would say that the $10-ish battle pass is totally worth it if you have a few dollars to spend. And then they also do like the monthly gem pack that most games do, where it's like you get a quick hit and then you get so many per day. That's looking to be roughly $5 based on the conversions. So that one's a super good one. And these are things that are just going to help you pull more and give you some more resources. The rest of the stuff in the cash shop, and again, this is just making an assumption it's going to come over here the same way, which it probably will. You've got your bundles that have extra resources, materials to build your characters. Those are rarely worth spending money on. And unless you're trying to rush all your characters to 80, it's probably not even worth buying them. You've got your couple, typical ones where it's like this character came out, so we got some fancy pack that you can buy that has a couple extra pulls that's like a few dollars more. Like they have all those sort of normal gacha things. If you're familiar with gachas, none of it's going to feel weird, and you're going to know right away to avoid half of these things. And I'll actually make a guide once I see the real cash shop. And then the one thing that they do, and I'll probably pick this one up, is they have the typical for $1 you can get a character, and that character, if it follows the other servers, is Puppet, who's one of the navigators. And so, for $1, I'll pick up Puppet. Like, cool, I'll throw a buck at the game.
Is
right?
Is that like a first time purchase bonus, or is that a actual dollar pack for the character?
It's just like a dollar pack.
Cool.
If we were converting it correctly. So I would expect to be in that $1 to $2 range. I mean, it's going to be like the cheap, like get you used to using your wallet. You know how they try to get you to be like, I've opened my wallet once, I'll open it a second time, right? But Puppet's a good character. She's one of the 2 original navigators you have at the start of the game, and you have to pull her. So you're either going to pull her or buy her. And like I said, for $1, I'll pay for it. But you don't take that as you should. By the way, I don't want any of you coming away like, Bear said I have to spend this money. Like, you're fine. I actually pulled her on KR just randomly. But considering I'm going to spend some money, that's a place I'll put $1. But yeah. I really don't feel that it's scummy. I don't. It has all the classic gacha things. Like if you buy so many things, you get this like track that gives you like extra rewards for spending so much money. They've got that kind of stuff in there. But I don't feel like I ever look at that shop like, oh my God, I wish I could have had that. My gameplay would have been better. I functionally don't have a way to spend money on the KR server. And so I've played my entire span without dropping a single cent, and I've loved every minute of it.
That's good to know. So like there's things I don't like about the monetization, even though I haven't been in there. Like after playing Etheria Restart, the big downside of Etheria is there's just there's a shit ton of characters. Like that's one of the biggest things. They have the light dark and they have a shit ton of characters, but there is no 50-50, right? It's 80 pulls to get a guaranteed unit, and the dupes are not useless, but they are not very strong. They're like 10% stats. And so this game has pretty powerful dupes, regardless of how powerful they are. It's like you would want a 6 on every unit if you could, but it's just not realistic.
Some of them can be game changing.
Yeah, I believe it. And then there's a weapon banner for characters, which that is very common. That is not necessarily a knock. I just got excited that Etheria didn't have it.
I don't love that they do the weapon banner separate. That's a personal opinion. I know it's very common in gacha games. I personally like it. The good thing is, a lot of the weapons you don't need. Now, it's not to say they don't give you more power. Every single 5-star weapon is going to make your character better, hands down. Just like saying every single time you get a duplicate, they're like, they're better. But, I could very easily tell everybody to skip Joker's weapon. I'm going to get it because I'm a huge Joker fanboy. And again, I'm spending some money, so I have a little bit more resources to do this. But it's not giving him some like dramatic power spike. Other characters it will. I can tell you I had Violet without her weapon for a long time. And then it came back around and I pulled it, and the difference on having it and not having it was very noticeable.
Okay.
So there are characters where it matters. Haru, I'm going to tell you, I can't really recommend not pulling it. It's such a good weapon. But then you'll get others that doesn't matter. So it is there. I think most of it's going to be people are going to feel like their character's incomplete without it, which I get that. But you can definitely get by on a lot of characters without the weapon banner.
All right. I have 3 follow-up questions to that. and we'll keep them very brief. That way, for the sake of the video. So I'm going to list them all out at once, and then you kind of let me know, because I just have to know after hearing you talk about it. Can weapons get dupes? First of all. Second of all, are guns on a weapon banner? Are they just completely automatically tied to a character? And 3, is there a gearing system that I would recognize from either Etheria or maybe closer to Sword of Convallaria, something like that?
Sure. Okay, so weapons can get dupes. They can go up 6 ranks just like characters can.
Got it.
And all it's doing is giving you more percentage. So if it was like a 12% attack, it gets up to like 35 or whatever the number's going to be, right? So it's just more raw power. Yeah, it's impactful if you have 6, of course, but it's like not as game defining as a character getting to A6. The guns, it's just a move, so they just have the ability to use bullets in game. You can't even change out their bullet and their main attack. You don't touch it. Like you use it, but there's no like go buy this gun over here. So nothing to even worry about on that one. And then your third one, the gearing system. So the gearing system in this one is, I don't know what it's going to translate into, but it's either artifacts or something. They look like cards. So you have a gear set and it's 4 cards. And you get a 2-piece and a 4-piece set bonus. I can't think of a single character off the top of my head where you want to use 2 different sets. You usually are pushing for that 4-piece set. And so it's stuff like, for Joker, there's a set and it's curse damage. And so it amps up your curse damage. And then on the 4-piece, I think it gives you more damage if they're debuffed. That's what you do with Joker. So it's like, that's his set. Like you want to put that on him or any other curse dealer. And then there's another card, and I'm blanking on the name of it. You mostly get it from guild trials. And it's like it gives you like another effect that ties with your set. So if you're running, like a sovereignty set and you put this card up there, you get like a 5th effect. So you get your 2-piece, your 4-piece, and then I guess it's a 3rd effect. And then this other effect, I was looking at the lover set today for Morgana, and it like amps up his healing by a certain percentage if you get this other. So your gear set is really get your 4 set, and then when you get it, and it's going to take a while to get these, put your 5th piece on there to give you like that bigger last category thing. The thing with the gear set though is you're going to get like white, blue, purple rarity in mementos around level 35-ish, I think is when the system opens up. And for the longest time, just use those. You don't want to worry about the gold cards, which is the top tier, until probably level 70 plus. Okay. It's just not worth your resources, and it's not that impactful. You can mix match your white, purple, and blue sets and just get your 4-piece going, get your main stats going, then worry about upgrading your cards well into the late game. I think people, and this is probably like a mistake not to make, people are going to accidentally focus on these cards way too early, and they're just going to run out of resources on things that don't matter. So
just like re-rolling minor substats on gold pieces of gear.
You're not exactly. You want to do this, but you're not going to want to do it until you're pushing stuff in SOS at the end game.
Okay, that's very good to know. So those are pretty much all the questions I had. I mean, otherwise I just want to get my hands on the game, and luckily we don't have to wait very long. I believe it's like 36 hours or 26. Something. Yeah, is it only 26 hours?
Yeah.
Tomorrow
they haven't
at 9 p.m.
Yeah, they haven't given us the well, I haven't seen the
at 9 p.m. my time.
There's a rumor going around that came there's a rumor going around on the launch time that came from like somebody having a fun post, and then somebody else pointing off a Steam DB. But it's not been confirmed. We know it goes live on the 26th. We don't have the exact time, but it's imminent. It's coming, right? And there's another rumor floating about that it may actually launch tomorrow, just because of the way time zones work. So keep your eyes peeled. That's unconfirmed, but tomorrow being the 25th, by the way, because I'm not sure when this video comes out.
I'm coming down with. I'm getting sick. I have a 4-day weekend starting. I work tomorrow, and then I have 4 days off. It's so perfect. I am not going to stop streaming once in that 4 days. I'm just going to sit there with no energy and no resources. And just be like, damn it. I'm just going to sit here, keep staring at this game.
I'll have to call you on Discord.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what's going to hurt is Friday I'm working.
Oh.
Then I leave work early because I have the Metallica concert. So I'm not going to get to touch this game outside of maybe my lunch break. I've already warned my whole family. I'm streaming Saturday. I'm streaming Sunday. But then it's the 2-day Metallica event. So I'm also going back to the concert on Sunday.
Dang.
but then I took Monday
that's not
off.
bad.
So I'm like,
Come
I'm
on.
too old. I can't like go to a concert all night and then get back up. No, but I get to see Metallica and I get to play P5X Global in the same weekend.
This is gonna be.
First world
You're gonna
problems?
have a better weekend than me. Like I'm gonna be playing the game, but I'm not listening to Metallica. I mean, maybe I will. I'll play Metallica on the stream. I'm like, screw you, Bear. This is just as good.
Play it for me. Play it for me.
Yeah, I'm very
Yeah.
I'm very excited. I didn't realize how excited I was until I watched. It was either one of your videos or someone else's. It was just like I wasn't even really watching it. I clicked it on and like the sound effect came up of like a guy's screen showing up. I just heard the sound effects of the game for Persona 5, and I genuinely I was like tearing up. I forgot how much Persona 5 means to me. That it's like one of my literal favorite games of all time. And so I am I'm such a sucker for this. I'm going to spend money. I'm going to be a simp for a mobile gacha game. I know. All right. I'm sorry, but this is it. For me, this is like the one. I'm
with
hyped.
you. I'm with you.
But yeah,
When they get Persona 4 characters in there, man, that's my jam.
My God. Ryuji, I'm all about Ryuji. Or sorry, not Ryuji, Kenji. I'm not good with.
Yeah.
I'm not good with
Hitting
non-American
people with
names.
the chair.
Yes, he was my favorite. I used to like Teddy, and then Teddy got a body, and I'm like, I don't know, Teddy. I don't think we see eye to eye anymore.
Be a mascot.
Yeah, he was so cool as a mascot. Then he was like a pretty boy, and I was like, I don't know, man. Get back in the TV, you know. All right, I think we've rambled on long enough for this video. Thank you so much. Your video is going to be linked down below. If you want to really know, like, and watch videos about someone that knows what the hell they're talking about, you watch Bear. If you want to watch someone that is figuring out with you and is making their best attempt, then you can come watch me. But yeah, thank you very much, Bear, for being on my video, and I'm excited to watch more of your stuff. I need some ideas, you know. So, what did Bear do today? New tier list update. All right.
There we go.
Thank you very much, guys. This has
Great
been the
talking
Plat,
to you as always, my friend.
and I'll see you on the flip flops.
Bye. Watch the views go.